What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Patient X Holistic Healing. Today's video, we're going to talk about semen retention and protecting your sexual energy, right? For men and women. I don't want to just leave it up to men because women should be doing this as well. If you want to achieve higher heights of energetic mastery, this is for you, right? So if you haven't seen me before, my name is Professor X. I'll be your healing coach and spiritual teacher today. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to see the content and the channel grow, please leave a like and subscribe in the corner. Click all the buttons for your boy. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, what you got to understand about sexual energy is that it's a chaotic energy, right? I'm going to pull parallels from actual human biology, and not just human biology, but biology in general, so that y'all can have a basis for what sexual energy is, because it is a non-physical energy, but it manifests into the physical, and you could channel that through different things, right? Look at sexual energy like your spiritual eggs. These are the reproductive assets of life. Now, we all know that the male has semen and the woman has eggs, but with sexual energy, you got to understand that there's a balance of masculine and feminine energy. So you don't need an outside force to procreate, right? Your sexual energy can just create shit off rip out of nowhere. This is quantum nature. If you study quantum physics, you'll know that the mathematics doesn't just work as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. It's a very spontaneous field of mathematics and science where 1 + 1 could equal a million, 10 million, whatever. And then the next time you do 1 + 1, it could equal something else as well. So this is like when we tap into infinite nature, infinite energy. They theorize that the quantum field is an infinite energy source that manifest things into the physical world, right? So when people talk about 0-point energy, similar concept, right? You could put in minimal inputs and then get exponential gains, right? That's sexual energy. It germinates indefinitely. Now, this is important because everything that you do, every facet of your life takes some sort of sexual energy, and it gets transmuted into another form of energy, right? So if I want to go to the gym, I need sexual energy to complete any task at the gym, right? I need physical energy. I need ATP. I need these things as well. But what you got to understand is the spirit is what sustains the body, not the body sustaining the spirit. So I would need some sort of infinite energy source to keep running my body and facilitate a field where I could actually receive chemical and mechanical energy and then use it as ATP and blah, blah, blah. These things take a habitable field that can facilitate life force in general. You'll notice the people with no sexual energy, they can't manifest because the way you manifest directly relates to your electromagnetic field and your aura. So if your sexual energy cannot facilitate a proper field, the universe will not be able to read you in the way that you want to be read. People will try and manifest $1 million idea, but they have a $10 field. It just doesn't work. And this all plays into your sexual energy. Sexual energy comes from the spirit, right? It's a chaotic energy. Like I said, it has both masculine and feminine qualities, creative and destructive qualities, right? So people look at it as a creative energy. People like to use their sexual energy to create shit. I do too, but you can also destroy stuff. And I'm gonna get into that a little later about how sexual energy naturally amplifies anything that you do. So a lot of people will destroy their lives off of some sexual energy. Like I said, it's a very chaotic and unstable energy, and it needs to have a channel to properly be used. If you don't have a channel, you're not going to be able to control it, and it could really destroy your life. When you experience this energy, it may feel like excitement or ecstasy, and that's the way we experience it because it's such a jovial energy. Like, it's very exciting. Like, if I had to associate sexual energy with an element, it would definitely be fire, because it just burns and it grows and creates. It's exponential. But truthfully, sexual energy has all of the elements embedded. It can act as whatever element you want. That's why it's so transmutable. It can only be extinguished when transmuted into something that is lesser than itself, right? You can channel this energy through meditation. You might be chilling, all peaceful and still, but then all of a sudden you feel something crawling up your spine and it's burning and it's scratching. It's just itching and you start twitching. You might have muscle spasms. Like, this is real, and it happens to me all the time. This energy is called something different in pretty much every culture. I believe in Hindu culture they call it Kundalini. I associate with Kundalini. A lot of people associate with a Kundalini awakening of some sorts. I'll talk about this in another video. I'll link it right here, but it's a highly debated topic about what a Kundalini awakening truly is. But in essence, all it really is the reawakening and vitalization of your sexual energy. It's the rebuilding of your channels so that you can properly maintain and grow a sexual energy. That's why all of your chakras are affected, all of your meridians are affected, even your physical circulatory nervous system, all of it is affected because it completely comes through and it reworks you. Kundalini is like a super concentrated form of this energy where it just forces its way through everything. This energy cannot be stopped unless it has no channel. That's the only way to stop sexual energy. Or like I said earlier, to transmute it to a lower form, which isn't as bad as it sounds. I'm gonna get into that later as well. Like I told you, your energetic field has to stay in a homeostatic state to maintain your being and your life force. So sexual energy is constantly channeling through you and revitalizing you. You know, it's like skin cells, you know. Skin cells live and die all the time, but before they die, they replicate a few times so that there's no loss of cells. And this is basically what your sexual energy is. It moves through, it washes over you, and it'll just recreate everything as you go. A lot of people look at their spiritual body like it's something that's set in stone. It doesn't make sense because it's of infinite nature. But your spiritual bodies are actually being reproduced at like all times. You know, the higher frequency the body, the more it's being reinvented and recreated. This energy will actually collapse on itself and then re-manifest. And it just does that over and over again. That's why when you look at high frequencies, you'll see from a slower frequency to a faster frequency, you have lower and higher. High frequencies move fast and they polarize very fast. So you'll have that collapse and then reimagining, collapse and then reimagining. This is how your spiritual bodies work. The same way your skin cells and all these cells in your body die and then they come back and then they die and then they replicate. It's the same thing. Now for the next part of the video, I want to get into creative and destructive energies because these are the two energies that come together to create sexual energy. Creative energy is highly favored in the spiritual community. A lot of people sleep on destructive energy because it's very dangerous. But when you know how to use it, you get the keys to the city. When it comes to destructive energy, there are a lot of things in your life that may not serve you, or even things in your outside reality that may not serve, you know, society, whatever. And you might have to destroy them, or you might take it upon yourself to reduce its influence. Destructive energy can help you do that. And the more sexual energy you have, the more destructive energy you can channel to eradicate whatever that is. Destructive energy can help you get rid of bad habits, you know, vices, all of these things that everybody struggles with, but nobody wants to really approach or attack because they're scared. You truly get the keys to the universe when you learn how to create and destroy simultaneously without favoring one over the other. Creative energy is very cool, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. All the beautiful things that you could do with creative energy. But if you create so much shit, eventually you're going to run out of space and you will need to destroy things to create new things. This is when we get into the concept of sacrifice, you know, sacrifice to manifest this, sacrifice to manifest that. That's a very real thing. And it's not only in the, you know, darker circles of spirituality, you know, different Satanism and occult practices. Sacrifice is not only on that side. Everybody has to sacrifice to get something. To get on this camera in front of y'all, I had to sacrifice a lot, to be honest. And to be honest, it was things that I didn't need, so I don't give a fuck. But you may be attached to something that you don't need. Please channel your sexual energy into a destructive energy so that you can eradicate that from your life and move on. When it comes to creative energy, like I said, you can use this to build anything that you can imagine in your life. This is when people, you know, want to manifest and do all of these things. You know, this is the love and light community. They love creative energy. But like I said, you need the destructive energy to maintain a good creative balance. But with creative energy, you can transmute this into all of the 6 pillars of wealth. Like I talk about, you can manifest this into focus. You can manifest this into anything that you can imagine. Period. If you want to learn how to enrich the 6 pillars of wealth, go watch this video. I talk about it a lot. You know, your aura plays a big part in that. But the 6 pillars of wealth go as followed. You have monetary wealth, which is very well loved but misunderstood by most. Then you have your wealth of intelligence. That's highly important, very slept on. Then you have your vitality wealth, you know, your health. Then you have your spatial wealth, your temporal wealth. You know, those go hand in hand, but they're 2 separate ones. And then you have your spiritual wealth at the pinnacle that helps regulate everything else. If any one of these other forms of wealth is fucked up, it's probably because your spiritual wealth is fucked up in the first place. Same thing with sexual energy. Sexual energy is very highly associated with spiritual wealth. But if your sexual energy is messed up, or restricted in some way, shape, or form, you will not be able to manifest anything in your life. You'll notice that your manifestations come through very quickly when you are retaining your sexual energy or properly transmuting it. I'm not saying you got to be a monk and never have sex ever again, but sex is one of the fastest way to drain your sexual energy. It's also one of the fastest ways to build your sexual energy, but you got to do it right. I'll make a whole video about Tantra and all of the tantric traditions from India, because they really got it down pat on how to use sex to grow your sexual energy. If you don't have a partner, you could do it on your own too. But like I said, that's a whole nother video. A good combination for manifestation is meditation along with some sort of sexual energy build up practice. For men, you got semen retention. I really don't know what women can do to build their sexual energy other than, different sexual practices. Abstinence is still an effective one for women, but it's more important for men. And let me explain why. In the physical body, the way sexual energy manifests, it kind of leans more towards the gender that you are physically. Even though it's equal parts man and feminine, like I said, it will still lean towards whatever you are physically, because any spiritual energy will naturally manifest in the body and take the shape of the body. This is important because action is highly revered in the world and is very important for manifestation. You'll notice that men have some of the best manifestation capabilities, to be honest. Men are just naturally good at propagating their energy, very projectile. Knowing this as a man is very important because you can't just be projecting everywhere. You have to retain and then release at certain times or intervals in patterns to be able to predict your manifestation process. As men, when we ejaculate, we naturally release more sexual energy than women do during, orgasm or any type of sexual activity, because we are of that projectile, very assertive energy. Feminine energy is naturally more receptive, so they can retain more of their energy. And when they have sexual partners, they're more likely to drain their partner as well if they don't have proper energetic mastery, or if their partner doesn't have proper energetic mastery as well. Now, this isn't straight all across the board for men and women. This is across the board for masculine and feminine energy. But when it comes to men and women, we display different characteristics and different energies. So it's like you might have an overly assertive feminine who has a lot of male qualities, and you might have a male who has a lot of feminine qualities as well. But on a biological level, as a man, you are projecting out more energy during orgasm. So going back to the original point, men, we should be retaining our seed at all times. I've been retaining my seed for years, not just like straight for years, but I have different intervals, and then I release at certain times. Sometimes I fumble and I release my sexual energy when I didn't need to. It's very common amongst men. But for all the reasons that I stated, it's very important to stay on your shit as a man and retain your seed. You can still manifest without retention, but it'll take way longer than it needs to. As a man, you can manifest some shit like this, bro. You know how much the universe loves assertive energy when it comes to just spontaneous manifestation? The universe loves that projectile energy. It's like, as a man, you're the pitcher. You throw whatever it is out to the universe, and the universe smacks it with the bat and then manifests that shit everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's how it is as a man. When it comes to men who don't retain, it's like they're throwing 5-mile-per-hour balls when you could really be throwing 99 to the cage. Home run every day. You feel me? So definitely take this into consideration, men. Like I said, I'm gonna do a whole nother video for women because I need to study up for real. But I do know for a fact that women have it easier as far as retaining their sexual energy. Men are just naturally more lustful as well. I noticed that. But women are just naturally better at retaining their sexual energy. And this is why they manifest very seamlessly. You'll notice a lot of women, they just naturally get whatever they want to, or they could play different numerological and astrological energies to get what they want. It's very easy for women in that way because they're receptive. That being said, that's pretty much it for today's video, man. I'm gonna make another video about ways to not drain your sexual partner and why you should not drain your sexual partner. I really covered that in today's video. If you didn't get the picture, don't drain your sexual partner. Y'all should be combining y'all energies regularly and spiraling it up so that it can reach your third eye and you can manifest together the dream life y'all want to. If you're siphoning your sexual partner, you are borderline a vampire. And you're akin to a succubus or a demonic entity that feeds off of other beings. I don't care if y'all are married, been married for 30 years, like, you see this a lot in couples. One person is like finessing all the energy from another person, and it's sad. That being said, man, if you like today's video, make sure you like and subscribe. Please make sure you leave a comment down below if you have anything to add to the conversation. That's how we enrich the community and grow each other's minds. My name is Professor X, and I want to thank y'all for watching Patient X Holistic Healing. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Much love and blessings.